appointed a new man after sacking Pochettino. If you want my thoughts on that, check out the video I did talking about that. But I said once we appointed a new manager, I would of course do a video on it, giving my reaction, my thoughts on the appointment, and how I think they'll do, etc. So that is the video here after a lengthy, very weird, I would say, at points managerial search where so many different names were being linked and names being ruled out, name mystery candidates. We've eventually landed on Enzo Maresca as the new Chelsea manager. He is the Leicester City manager, and he is going to be taking charge of Chelsea. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to just talk about, I guess, the good stuff first. About Enzo as a coach, or maybe not the good stuff. I'm just going to talk about Enzo at first as a coach, strictly that, and what I think he'll do at Chelsea, and then I'm going to get into kind of my problems with the appointment and all of that stuff. But yeah, this is my reaction to it. It isn't like 100% official yet as a recording, but pretty much everything is done, I'm assuming, and if this video doesn't go out, then well, he hasn't been appointed, but it should do. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below about the appointment, because it is one which I think it's kind of split a lot of the fan base, and a lot of people aren't happy about. Some people are happy about it, so let me know your thoughts on it below. But if we talk about Enzo Maresca then, so it's kind of weird because, so in terms of his managerial search, there were four names. So it was Kieran McKenna. McKenna was a big one, like that was kind of the favourite for a long time. Thomas Frank was also on the short list as well, and his name was just always there. It was always there. And then it was kind of De Zerbi, like De Zerbi was loosely linked, but he was never fully linked. But Maresca, kind of like Frank, his name was always in the mix. And then there was this mystery candidate, which people kind of assumed was De Zerbi, or some people said it's Ruben Amorim, but there was this other candidate who was not revealed. But the main three were McKenna, Maresca, and Frank, right? And then McKenna, it says that he was ruled out, so it was known that it was only Maresca, Frank, and this mystery candidate. And everyone was assuming this mystery candidate is Roberto De Zerbi. A lot of people thought that actually linking ourselves with these McKennas, Franks, and stuff was a bit of a smoke screen. We wanted De Zerbi from the start, you know. There were reports that a club had paid Brighton their compensation, and that's why he left. Maybe that was us. People all really thought it was De Zerbi, and we're going to get him. And, you know, I mean, I have problems over De Zerbi, but I wouldn't have minded that. I wouldn't have minded. But instead, we actually went for Enzo Maresca, and it was a bit of a surprise because, you know, as I said, Maresca's name was always there, but I really don't think anyone was sort of taking an eye to him. Everyone was talking about McKenna, everyone was talking about De Zerbi. Some people were talking about Frank and like issues with him and his style of play. No one kind of mentioned Maresca, and then all of a sudden it was Maresca out of nowhere who was the favourite and then gets the job. So it was a bit of a weird one, I must say. But it was particularly weird for me, just as a side note, because I was watching the Coach's Voice. This was like a week ago, because it's a fantastic channel, right? And like I have a video coming out, like a tactical video, and I wanted to, you know, look at some tactical knowledge. So I was on the Coach's Voice, and I was looking through some videos, watching some, and then I saw one about Enzo Maresca, and I was like, you know what? let's watch this. This was like, he wasn't even, as I said, his name was linked to Chelsea, but it was nothing to do with him being a Chelsea manager. So I watched a video, and I was like, oh, you know what, this guy, he knows his stuff, fair play. And then all of a sudden, he 2 days later, he's like the favourite, and now it's Chelsea manager. I was like, what the hell? That is really weird. But I'll tell you, from watching that, of course, it's only a video, so like I can't exactly be like, oh, he's Pep now. But from watching that, I did believe, and you know, I can say this in an unbiased view because when I watched it, as I said, I wasn't really thinking of him as, you know, a Chelsea manager. I thought this guy, you know, he has really good knowledge. He is tactically very astute, and he reminds me extremely of Pep Guardiola in terms of the way he plays. And it makes sense, right? He is very much from the school of thought of Pep. He was Pep's assistant at Man City last season when they won the treble. So, of course, his ideas as a manager are heavily influenced by Pep. And, I mean, yeah, when I watched it, I was like, wow, this is literally how Pep Guardiola's Man City plays. Of course, it's not 100% copying him, but it was very similar to how he played at Man City. And that's how he wants his team to play. That's how he gets his Leicester team to play, which is really interesting. And also from the video I did yesterday about Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton, how they got promoted. I talked about Leicester and I was doing research about them, and you know, I found out that Maresca, extremely ball dominant, extremely possession based manager. So again, plays a lot like Pep, very sort of slow in the build up. It's not kind of like Poch where we had the ball a lot of the time, but we were quite like rushed with the ball when we had it. And players were sort of going all over the place. Maresca's very much a more rigid, structured manager. He wants his players in set positions, and he wants particular patterns of play and particular movements. And he's very much of the school of thought where we will have the ball 80% of the time, and you know, just by having that ball, eventually we should score a goal. That's kind of like the basis of possession football, right? So that's sort of his thing. He's very much into the inverted fullback. Ricardo Pereira at right back for Leicester has played that role. And he's interestingly very keen on a ball-playing goalkeeper in terms of the goalkeeper actually joins the centre-backs at some point. So he is very heavy on the ball-dominant thing, the possession-based style, which is what the directors wanted. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, I've wanted a style like that, or I've wanted at least a style, because Poch, for a lot of the season, sort of, we saw it in pre-season, then abandoned his style midway through the season, and then sort of bring it back towards the end. I want a manager to just have a clear philosophy and just stick with it. But while I think that Maresca is a talented coach, he's a talented manager, he knows what he's doing tactically, I do have a couple concerns. Firstly, with this style of play, it's giving me shades of Sarri, Maurizio Sarri. Now, for those of you who remember, Maurizio Sarri is, again, kind of plays similar to Maresca in terms of that really slow, ball-dominant, possession-based style of play, which sometimes at points can just be passing with no real end product, particularly when, you know, the players are adapting, adjusting to this. And what we saw with Maurizio Sarri is he was trying to implement this at Chelsea, but because of this style of play, it was quite new. There were a lot of teething problems, and the fans just did not enjoy it. They did not like it at all. You know, there was chants of like F Sarri ball all the time from the Chelsea fans at Stamford Bridge, because it was boring, it was dull, and the results were okay but not really flowing, right? And he also had a character where he never really embraced the Chelsea fans either, so that didn't help. And overall, he never got the love from Chelsea fans. Chelsea fans pretty much forced him out, forced him to leave and go back to Italy. You know, the board, they didn't sack him, they didn't have plans to sack him because they wanted this style of play and they were happy with the results we were getting. But he left because, you know, he got forced out by the Chelsea fans. And I do kind of worry here that with Maresca's style of play, if it doesn't start to click early on, and we have these teething problems where it's going to be really, really slow, really boring, not really any end product because the players are sort of adjusting to the style. And also, if he doesn't embrace the fans like Sarri did, I think that the fans at Stamford Bridge are going to lose it, and their patience is going to be thin with this. So that's my concern about Maresca. Then there's also the factor of course, he's extremely inexperienced. He's never managed in the top flight. He's only managed 2 clubs in his entire career, right? Parma, I believe, and Leicester, and he's never managed in the top flight of any league. I think he's only had like 2 seasons as a manager. So he is extremely raw in his managerial scene. And you know, it's one thing doing it in the Championship, but can he do it in the Prem? We saw Vincent Kompany play some beautiful, attractive and nice free-flowing football, tore up the Championship, goes to the Prem, and suddenly, you know, gets found out a bit. But that was maybe because, you know, he was at Burnley with his players, he was unable to do that. Of course, at Chelsea, he's going to have more players at his disposal to make sure this style of play works, but, you know, he's going to be coming up against much higher level managers, coaches than he's ever done before in his career, and this sort of pressure as a Chelsea manager is something he would never have experienced before. You know, assistant manager at Man City, it gives you a bit of a taste of that, right? That pressure to win, that pressure to compete. But when you're actually the manager, it's very different. That pressure can really, really like just swallow you up. It can. You know, the media, every single word you say will be scrutinised, analysed. All the fans, as I said, if you're not delivering, if you lose 2 games on the bounce, there will be boos. If you lose 3 in a row, people will want you out. Like the pressure at Chelsea Football Club, especially given how bad we've been in recent years. If you are bad again, that pressure is going to be huge on you, and can he cope with that? Is a lot of pressure for a young, inexperienced manager. We saw someone like Graham Potter was unable to deal with this pressure. I'm hoping Maresca can. I'm hoping that time with Man City has helped him. But, you know, we don't know. We don't know. He's an unknown quantity at this level. But here's the thing. This is the sort of overarching main point here, though, I want to make. I think that Maresca's a good coach. I think he is. I think he's got good ideas. I think that he has good potential. He could potentially do something with his team. I am excited to see what he does with certain players like Nkunku. I'm excited what he does with the inverted fullback, maybe Reece James, Malo Gusto. As inverted fullbacks, I like that a lot. Caicedo, Enzo. You know, I'm excited to see what he does with his side. But if Enzo fails, I will say, you know, he probably needs to go, but I'm not going to be mad at him at all, because this guy's coming up from a Championship. I'm not going to sit here and expect someone in their first season of Premier League management to deliver us top 4, deliver us a trophy when this guy has managed one season as a manager, right? Like, that's just completely unrealistic for me to expect that. But the problem is, we're 3 years now, this is going to be the third season into this ownership. This is going to be $1 billion spent. This is going to be last season where we finished finish like 6th, 5th, 7th this season, that is a failure. That is a failure. We should be, in terms of his ownership, we should be minimum top 4 by now. 3 years in, we should be getting a top 4 finish. Under this ownership, we should be winning a trophy. Under this ownership, we should be in a position now where we are, okay, this is the year where we can really push on and see proper progress in this. It should not be, okay, we finished 6th last year, we're going to finish like 5th, 6th again. No, we need to see progress this year. But as I said, the problem is that that does not match the manager. Because the manager, I'm not expecting him to get top 4. I'm not. Even though I'm expecting this team, expecting this ownership to get top 4, right? So it's a weird conundrum here. And that's why I don't really like the appointment. Because essentially, especially here, we've given him, I believe, a 5-year contract. So we're saying this is the guy, this is the dude, he's the long-term guy for the club. Okay, Podge, 2-year deal, giving him a 5-year deal, right? And what we're saying here is we're starting over. We're starting a new project in year 3 of ownership, when we should be in year 3 of this entire project. We're starting the project now. Now we begin the project. Like, what? Like, what's going on? This should be the year where we kick on, except this is the year where, oh no, now we've got a young manager, we need time, we're going to need to go for this long-term thing, and it's going to take 2 to 3 years now until we grow with this manager, which it probably will do. But by then, what, we're like 5-6 years into this ownership, and then we're going to have to wait for us to compete. Like, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. That's my issue with this appointment. As I said, it's nothing to do with Maresca. It's more the fact that the board have gone for him. They've gone for someone like him who is young, inexperienced, who is going to need time to develop on the job, really. And, this is time which I don't know if we have. I don't know if we should be having. And for these directors, this is it. This is really it, because they've given him a 5-year. They're saying that this is a man to take Chelsea to competing for titles again. If they sack him within 2 years, they must go, and that is it. They have failed, because I do not want to see at the end of this season me doing a video about who the next Chelsea manager is going to be, because at that point we're in the mud, because they've put everything on this guy. They're saying he is the guy, so there's no reason you should be sacking him within a year, within 2 years even, of this project, right? You should not be doing that. Even if results are, well, I say even if results are really bad, then he's gonna have to go. But if he does, you must walk with him as well, because that is a huge catastrophe of an appointment from you. But look, we will see. We'll see what happens. As I said, I think he's a talented coach. I'm excited a little bit to see what he does. But when I say I'm excited to see what he does, it's more intrigue, because he's never managed in this league. He could potentially be like an amazing coach. He could potentially be like an Arteta or something, and just fantastic, right? But he could also be really, really bad, which is why this appointment in general doesn't excite me, just more intrigues me. And I have concerns over the board and why they're making this appointment, why we're starting the project now. We gave Graham Potter a 5-year deal. That didn't work out very well. So they've had a second chance here, and they've gone for Maresca. We'll see what he does. I think a lot of the players may improve. We'll see how he does. I'll probably do a video on how he sort of plays, like the winners and losers and stuff of his style later down the line. But look, I'm gonna get behind him. I will. As I said, I don't really have anything against Maresca as a coach. I think he has a lot of potential, and I'm interested to see how he employs his style of play. I hope that he's not one of those managers where, well, you see, I don't know. I want him to be. I want him to not do what Poch did, where he just abandons his system. I want to see throughout this season, throughout this first season, a consistent pattern of play, a consistent style of play, and an identity. Because even if results are not coming, I can say, okay, I can see what the idea, the plan here is. But I also want to see a bit of adaptability, because I don't want him to be too stubborn. I want him in those bigger games when we play a Man City, when we play a Liverpool and Arsenal. I want him to be like, okay, let me tweak things a little bit here just for this one game. I don't want to see him just be 100% stubborn. But yeah, I don't have too many expectations on Maresca as coach. As I said, generally with the team, with the money spent 3 years in, I would finish it. Considering we finished 6th last year, I'm expecting top 4. But then with Maresca as manager, if he doesn't get top 4, I'm not going to be mad at him, right? I'm just going to be more mad at the owners, the directors, the board for this. But we'll see how he does. I'm excited to see what happens. Let me know